Live from New York City, it's the Gary Null Show. And now, your host, Gary Null.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Null, broadcasting and video streaming from our studios in New York City, and I'd like to welcome all of you. Today, we're going to talk about why milk and all those ads we've seen throughout our lives are lies, propaganda by the dairy industry. How can we prevent osteoporosis? How can we have strong bones? I'll share specific protocols. Also today, I'm going to give you something really neat, and this is the body tissues that can be rejuvenated through nutrition. This is the latest research compiled by Sarah G. of GreenMed Info, and this aligns with my own research on a major project I'm doing on anti-aging. So get your pencil and papers ready, because I'm going to share with you how different systems in the body can be reversed in their aging process. Also today, scientists discover vitamin C regulates stem cell function and curbs leukemia development. University of Texas, and much more on health and healing. We start with health. Now, I've been in anti-aging medical research my entire adult life as a research fellow at the Institute of Applied Biology, and where I did over 160 experiments. And all those experiments, and I realized yesterday, I began to tell you about one of the experiments, but I didn't tell you the end. And here's the end. And I realize not everyone listens every day, so very brief. I wanted to see whether or not doctors were really qualified to decide what kind of diet a patient should have, since the registered dietitian that actually creates the menu, but they create it from what the doctor dictates. So I went around to the different hospitals, only on the Upper East Side, from the 30s up till 100th Street on the East Side. There are a lot of hospitals. And over a period of several weeks, we asked doctors what they recommended to their patients, and that became the doctor's diet. I then created a doctor's diet that we gave to the animals, and then others got standard rat chow. But the third group got what I believed was the importance of a healing foods diet, and that healing foods diet I called a living foods diet, meaning a food contains all of its essential nutrients, its pigments, the yellow, the blue, the purple, the red, the orange. These are the pigments that now we know actually help our DNA to recover and repair, also help protect us from viruses and bacteria and parasites, also help our blood, to rebuild our blood and help detoxify our kidneys. So the more of these colorful fruits and vegetables you eat, the healthier your body. And that's why I call living foods, because this is the diet that actually helps us live. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, and this took almost 5 years, and I could not have done this had it not been for Dr. Dean and Dr. Ed Graff, who had some equipment on loan from Drexel University that they got from the Navy, and I was using this. They were actually showing me what they had done, but they didn't have the authority where they were at to do all the research they wanted, so they came up because I was known for doing some esoteric research. I didn't have any limitations on what I would do, and I had my whole floor up at the Institute. In fact, Bob Houston yesterday was remarking, he was on the show, and Bob's this one of the wonderful scholars, and he and I did the first article together on the politics of cancer, and that opened the door for dozens of other articles that we did, including the one that was on 60 Minutes, and the one that was on 2020, won 2 Emmys. And that opened the door to Peter Barry Chowka and Gabe Pressman, all these other people, but the door wasn't open. So in any case, Bob would come over to the Institute, and I asked him as a scientific researcher to validate some of the studies I was doing. And that's where he met Linus Pauling and some other very interesting people, Dr. Manuel Ribisi. So here I had this machine that measured more than calories. In effect, it measured the vital life force, or the energy of a plant. And we measured the vital life force, and what I found was on a scale of 0, meaning dead, to 10, meaning the highest level of energy, 9 and 10 is what you needed if you wanted to reverse disease and really supercharge your immune system. And those would be things like fresh organic juices and fresh fruits and fresh salad greens, things that were in their freshest, organic, raw state. Now, the more processing that occurred, the lower down that scale went. And then there was a demarcation, which was 5. If you had a diet that was principally above 5, you could maintain health. If you had a diet that was principally below 5, you'd maintain disease. So French fries, hot dogs, hamburgers, colas, coffee, sugars, artificial sweeteners, those were all in the generally 0 to 2. But a healthy vegan plant-based diet was 5 and above. And the really high-end diet was juicing and raw foods. Those were 9 and 10. So I gave the rats, 1,000 rats, 9s and 10s only. So I'd go in each day and I'd make fresh organic juices, and I'd get a chlorella, and they had seaweed, and they had the rats had a diet that most humans would never eat, that pure and potent diet in their life. And here's how it went. This is the conclusion. At the end of 3 months, I had to stop this study with the doctor's diet because they were getting obese, they were lethargic, some became cannibalistic, they were highly irritated. So out of humanitarian reasons, I had to stop the diet and reverse it. And the standard rat chow diet, they lived their standard life and died at the end of that normal life. But those rats that were on the living foods diet, and I didn't believe in cages, so there was no cages. They could run around this whole 3,000 square foot space and all day long. And by the way, in all those decades, I never once was bitten by a rat. And it'd freak other people out to come up and see all these rats running around. But they lived at least 30% longer, and some lived up to almost 70% longer. So that's where I then took that diet across the street at Trafalgar Hospital, where I was a trustee, and also knowing the director of the hospital, I was able to work with some of the patients, and then I was using this diet on the patients. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I'm a PhD in human nutrition and public health science, and I was a research fellow, so I was qualified to direct that diet. And the dietitians there were just flabbergasted. They had no idea why all this stuff was being given to these people. And one of the people I worked with happened to have been my editor at a major publishing company who I didn't know had terminal cancer. And she was the next step to hospice care. And over a period of about 1.5 years, she reversed her cancer. So when people wonder, well, gee whiz, how did that, Gary, did you get to where you're helping people today? It didn't happen overnight. It wasn't an epiphany. It took a long time of testing and trying to see what worked. So with that, I give you this. 6 body tissues that can be rejuvenated through nutrition. Now, we're told none can. Well, they're right. None can. We're also told that your heart can't change, your brain can never grow a new neuron. They're absolutely right. That you cannot reverse, slow down, or even change the aging process. It is inevitable. It will happen its own accord, and you have no input on it. They're right. But we're just not going to keep in line and go over a cliff like all the other sheep. Nerve rejuvenation. Quote, there are actually a broad range of natural compounds with proven nerve regenerative effects. A study in the journal Rejuvenative Research, which is a mainstream respected peer-reviewed journal, for instance, found a combination of blueberries, green tea, and carnosine, carno, C-A-R-N-O, carnosine, S-I-N-E, have the neurogenic, meaning promoting neuron rejuvenation, and stem cell regenerative effects in this animal model of neurodegenerative disease. Here's other neuroregenerative effects. Curcumin, over 7,000 studies in the peer-reviewed literature on that. Lion's mane mushroom, apigenin, A-P-I-G-E-N-I-N. By the way, that you will find in abundance in celery. Once again, back to that celery juice. Blueberries. By the way, if you had to select one fruit above all others to be the superfruit, I would say it's a tie. I would say it's blueberries and grapes. The grape seed, the grape skin, resveratrol, it's just a superstar. But the blueberry is also a superstar. They're about equal. They're both terrific for turning off inflammation in the joints, helping to thin the blood, helping with their pigments as phytonutrients to help with the chlorophyll in your body, helping with your brain. So you want a younger brain? Blueberries and grapes. Ginseng, and by the way, I was going to do a debate, and I like to prepare for my debates, and this is when I was debating almost every month. The Cattle Association, the Cosmetic Association, the Sugar Institute. I was running around debating on network television all the time. And I would just do my homework up at Flowers Fifth Avenue Hospital. I'd go there, and my brothers, Stephen and Howard, we'd look at every single study. And I'd study this, and then when I'd go on, I don't believe in blood sport. I don't believe in denigrating the other person. Let them have their say. Let the public decide if they believe one, the other, neither, or both. But I wanted my evidence. So the subject of ginseng came up, and this person made the mistake of saying, well, there's no science on that. I just let him talk. At that point, I pulled out a book, and I handed it to him. And I said, in this book are 5,300 studies in the peer-reviewed literature on ginseng, and that's just from China. And that's reference to the National Academy of Sciences in China, equivalent to our National Academy of Sciences in the United States. Now, mind you, it's probably triple that today. So the science is there to support it. Use ginseng daily. Hyperzine, Huperzine, natto, there's one of your fermented foods from soy, Natto. Red sage, resveratrol, once again, there's your grapes. And royal jelly. Royal jelly at one time in the 1970s was the health food in America. We didn't have a lot then, but we sure had royal jelly. Theanine, Theanine, and ashwagandha, Ashwagandha. And there's also another class of nerve healing substances known as remyelinating. And the myelin sheath is where it becomes damaged and eroded, and that's when you start seeing the symptoms of multiple sclerosis. And these, however, are remyelinating, and that means they stimulate the repair of the productive sheath around the axon of the nervous system, the neurons known as myelin, and which is often damaged in neurological injury and dysfunction. So you have good ones there as well. Resveratrol for multiple sclerosis, Siberian ginseng, that's the eleuthero, red wine concentrate, and N-acetylcysteine, N, the letter N, acetyl, A-C-E-T-Y-L, cysteine, C-Y-S-T-E-I-N-E. And you also have cartilage, joint, and spine regeneration. And here the superstar is curcumin. Curcumin, C-U-R-C-U-M-I-N, and resveratrol. Resveratrol, R-E-S-V-E-R-A-T-R-O-L. And it's been shown to improve recovery from spinal cord injury. And over a dozen other natural compounds hold promise in this area, which can be viewed on there's scientific research on spinal cord. Now, yesterday, Robert Houston, who spent more than 15,000 hours in the library, mainly New York University Medical Library, he found that there were approximately 35 substances that have the ability to slow down and reverse the aging of our cells. And he mentioned many, and resveratrol he mentioned, and blueberries he mentioned, almost all your berries. If you want to help your arteries and your heart, oh, well, that's pomegranate. You want to help your joints, that's dark cherry. You want to help your brain, that's blueberries. You want to help digestion and gastric distress and itises, that's your papaya and pineapple and mango. So these are some things we can use now. So those are the different ones that help reverse it. And while I'm at it, I also want to share with you the liver, because so many times people start off getting a chemotherapy, and that really plays havoc with your liver. And then you're not able to remove toxins from the body. You can't conjugate them and get them out easily. And you can also synthesize nutrients and combine them in ways the body cells can use easily. So some doctors won't work with you, holistic doctors, if you've had a lot of chemotherapy. Others will. I believe that no matter what, we can rejuvenate the liver. 3 chlorophyll compounds taken 3 times a day, wheatgrass powder, chlorella powder, and spirulina powder, taken a teaspoon each, with ginger juice, lemon juice, and apple cider vinegar are terrific. And also I put a scoop of modified citrus pectin. It's good for the liver. Anyhow, what we know is glycyrrhizin, which is a compound found in licorice, is good. And that's also a good anti-SARS viral agent. It has antiviral properties. And it also, we have curcumin, Korean ginseng, rooibos, ROOLBOS, and vitamin E. And vitamin E in a mixed compound, meaning tocopherols and tocotrienols. They're both fractions, alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Take the mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols together. Then you have beta cell regeneration. And the medical community has yet to harness the diabetes reversing potential of natural compounds, whereas expensive stem cell therapies and islet cell transplants and an array of other synthetic drugs in the development pipeline are the focus of billions of dollars in research annually. And yet we have a lot of things right in our kitchen that can make a difference with diabetes. The great sugar destroyer is Gymnena, Gymnena, Sylvestre, Sylvestre, and Nigella, which is black cumin. And black cumin for diabetes 3 times a day is absolutely essential. Boy, if there was just one anti-inflammatory, one thing, it would be black cumin. But again, I don't recommend people just take it because it can be really bitter. It's best to take it in a smoothie. And then vitamin D, curcumin, arginine, avocados, berberine, which is a bitter herb, and bitter herbs like golden seal and barberry are good. Bitter melon, that's one of the best things in the world to use if you have HIV infection. In fact, we used to have a kitchen where all day long, all day and all night, I hired people working 3 shifts from early in the morning till midnight, just making special drinks and bitter melon. We would go through cases of it a day, of the organic raw bitter melon juice. Boy, is it a great antiviral. Really does good. Good for herpes, good for hepatitis. Swiss chard, yes, the green leafy vegetable, corn silk, and stevia. And sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is the sulfur component of broccoli sprouts. And then these help the beta cell regeneration in diabetics, and also hormone regeneration. There's a lot of good work that vitamin C is at the top of that list, and for hormone rebalancing, but also hormone rebalancing can be helped with Dong Quai, Fotai, Vitex, and black cohosh. And then cardiac cell regeneration. Not long ago, virtually all the cardiologists in America believed or were told that nothing can change this tissue. It's incapable of regeneration. Not true. Not true. You can. In fact, a new but rapidly growing body of experimental research now indicates that this is simply wrong. And there is a class of heart tissue regenerative compounds known as neocardiogenic substances. And these neocardiogenic substances help stimulate new heart cell growth. And I would put on that, at the top of my list, would be things such as magnesium, coenzyme Q10, and the hot peppers, vitamin E, very important, and L-carnitine. And finally, grapefruit's essential oil offers 10 powerful health benefits, including protection against cancer. So most people have never used grapefruit essential oil. I like to juice the whole grapefruit, skin and seeds, the whole thing, because you got caprylic acid, which is good for parasites and good for worms and good for yeast in the body. And so it's good as a preventative, but it also in the skin, you have some very strong anti-cancer properties. And it's a natural blood thinner, and it's a natural diuretic, and it's just terrific for you, the grapefruit, and especially if you had the skin. So if the oil is pressed out, and it's naturally rich in these antioxidants and phytochemicals, and there was one of them called limonene, Limonene, and vitamin C. And here's what grapefruit essential oil can do for you. Cellular protection against cancer. In fact, limonene comprises up to 95% of the grapefruit oil's essential oil. It's a phytonutrient antioxidant. It protects against cancer and tumors, and it also protects your DNA from being damaged. It helps you relax. It uplifts you. It lowers blood pressure, improves your energy, improves your focus, promotes removal of toxins from the body through the lymphatic system. It's antibacterial. It's antimicrobial. It fights a whole variety of illnesses, foodborne illnesses like E. coli and Salmonella. It assists in fungal infection destruction, and it reduces inflammation, improves your skin, and supports digestion. So how about that? And I also promised you more on the nutrients that are good for your bones and why milk is not, but I'm looking at the clock and we're going to run out of time for the other things, so I'll start tomorrow's program by giving you the latest on how to prevent osteoporosis, why milk is not good for you, and what's wrong with milk. What specifically does it not do? How did we get to where we believe that milk builds strong bones when it actually weakens our bones? That's the latest on health, healing, and the environment. I'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us.